Drums Along the Mohawk is a fictional historical novel written in 1937, which was on the bestseller list for 2 years and made into an exciting and dramatic film in 1939 starring Henry Fonda. It depicts the life of a young couple and a community during the American Revolution. They are on the frontiers of the Mohawk Valley and are repeatedly attacked by British, Tory sympathizers, and Indians. In response, they have a system of militia, which is organized along the lines of every single man between 16 and 60 must be ready at a moment's notice to deploy as a Minuteman, collecting in either small groups and then following that with a rally point at 3 different forts, 2 fairly medium-sized forts, and then the one in between, a small fort. This is usually needed. When this is needed, it is signaled by either a cannon firing from one of the forts or a church bell ringing. One of the first things that strikes you as you read the book is, I believe it's pretty historically accurate in the sense of the lifestyle of the individuals involved. They're living very much of a subsistence farming life, but one is struck with how resilient they are and how strong from a physical, emotional, and spiritual standpoint as compared to Americans today. I mean, what I thought of was the difference between a wild turkey or a wild rabbit and a domesticated rabbit or a domesticated turkey. These people were rough and ready, and we aren't so much today. Several things stood out to me that could be possible prepper lessons. One is the fact that how resilient the people were back then and how we're not. And the way to address that would be you got to get into physical, emotional, and spiritual shape. Now, I don't think that's as difficult as some people think it is. You've got to be able to walk a mile and then walk 3 miles and then be able to do it with a light pack on, a 10% of your weight pack, that you can walk a mile, walk 3 miles. When I completed the El Camino, the 500-mile pilgrimage in Spain and France, what I noticed was within 16 days I was in unbelievable shape. It was as if 20 years had been rolled off my age. Now, it came with a good deal of suffering the first 5 to 7 days and a lot of ibuprofen pain medicine. But you can, if you're basically in shape, if you can walk a mile, walk 3 miles, in 16 days you can roll 20 years off your biological age. I also think that emotionally, dealing with the stress of the constant attacks from the marauders in the book, they were very resilient, and I think today that we're totally oblivious to all of that, and when there is an emergency, we just call 911. Well, I think the first step in having that emotional readiness for that is to realize you don't have a sense of entitlement. Something bad could happen to you, and you will have to deal with it. I also think there is a certain art to being spiritually prepared for an emergency, to realize that you're not all alone, that you have family, and you have a God and Jesus in heaven to help you. The second point lesson I would take is how they were so prepared as their own first responders, and they were all ready with rifle and shot and tomahawk to move to a rally point, and then under the command of their militia officers to counterattack or to attempt an attack upon the marauder. Be self-reliant. Be a modern-day Minuteman. Check with your local fire department and see if they provide training for Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, C-E-R-T. Take a Red Cross first aid course. See if there are preparedness conferences in your local area. Watch appropriate YouTube videos on preparedness. Have your children go through Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. Be an adult leader. Go hiking and camping. Become a deer hunter. Go fishing. Have an appropriate food storage plan with at least 3 months worth of store-bought food, and then food that's designed for longer-term storage. Have the proper equipment, such as a pick, a shovel, a fire axe, a silky saw. Take a National Rifle Association gun safety course, or take a course on gun usage and safety and legal aspects from an appropriate expert group. Have the appropriate firearms to defend yourself, your family. Be situationally aware. Keep track of local, community, state, national, and international news. I know this is difficult now. You have to kind of sift through the fake news, the false news, and do your own analysis. Be able to know how to communicate in an emergency, whether it be by a sound signal from a whistle, a foghorn, or even obtain your ham radio license. It's actually quite easy to obtain a legal and proper federal license for ham radio. Fifth, think through a safe place. A place where you and your family or your local neighborhood could rally in an emergency, whether that be an open field, your home, another individual's house, in a remote scenario, maybe even have a place picked out that could be safely defended. The novel Drums Along the Mohawk is an exciting and entertaining book, but also brings many lessons in the contrast of the Revolutionary era American and today's American. It provides us an opportunity to learn and observe and to implement those and interpret those into modern day preparedness for emergencies in daily life. I highly recommend reading the book The Drums Along the Mohawk and viewing the movie. We need to be modern day self-reliant Minutemen, whether we're preparing for a tornado, a forest fire, a hurricane, or war. Be prepared.